former Canadian Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, of course, one of 12 Canadian Prime Ministers Queen Elizabeth presided over during her 70-year reign. Mr. Mulroney, thank you very much for making the time. Good to see you.
Thank you, Nancy.
I was saying to Peter, just wish it were under different circumstances. Your reaction to the news today, I know it didn't necessarily come as a huge surprise, but it has definitely affected a lot of Canadians.
Well, it's an enormous loss for Canada, obviously, but also for the world, because if there was a person who symbolized leadership and success and epitomized admiration around the world, it was Queen Elizabeth II. And so I think that both throughout the United Kingdom and the various Commonwealth countries and elsewhere, this will be seen as the loss of a genuinely great leader and great person.
What can you share with Canadians watching tonight about your own interactions with Queen Elizabeth? What stuck with you through the years?
Well, my impressions of her were always kind of bifurcated. As a person, I saw an awful lot of her, and we got along very well, both as a person and then as a leader. And for example, I remember she was coming to Canada, and she signaled, or through her private secretary, that the small dinner that we were preparing that night, or Sunday night, for her, that she'd enjoy it if the children were there. So here we were. We had Paul Desmarais and his wife Jackie, and Douglas Bassett, and his wife Susan, and I think John Lynch Staunton and his wife Juliana, and Caroline, and Ben and Mark, who were then about 11 that day. And they sat down there, and as I've said, over dinner, she treated them with the same kind of courtesy and respect that she would the Chancellor of the Exchequer. She was very, as a person, she was very, very bright, of course, very bright. And she was thoughtful and generous and very witty and kind. She was at times very funny. So that was the human side of her that a lot of people, I suppose, didn't see. And then on the leadership side, on matters of substance, there was no greater challenge to her during her reign, or no greater concern to her, than the possibility that the Commonwealth might break up over the challenge of Nelson Mandela and apartheid in South Africa. And when I arrived at the Commonwealth Conference in Nassau in 1985, she asked to see me right away. I went to see her, and she said that, because of Canada and its role over the years, starting with Mr. Diefenbaker's role in 1961 in expelling South Africa from the Commonwealth, with which she was fully familiar. Starting with that, she said, look, Canada's the only country in the Commonwealth, apart from the United Kingdom, is a G7 country. And the United Kingdom was on the other side, as you'll remember. Mm-hmm. Mrs. Thatcher was a firm foe of apartheid, but she didn't agree with the direction that the Commonwealth, in solidarity, was taking. And so the Queen said, you're the only G7 country, powerful, rich country, and I'm just hoping that you will put everything that you can on the scale in favor of keeping the Commonwealth united and strong. And I said, of course I will do that. And we started the Commonwealth. There was a 7 head of government committee established. We wound up in Buckingham Palace for a private dinner with her sometime later, which led then to while the work was going on, which led to a very famous meeting in Vancouver, where after dinner with her at the Hotel Vancouver and Prince Philip, we had the challenge of the Commonwealth, where Mrs. Thatcher really indicated very strongly that she would not, under any circumstances, approve what we were doing. So we decided to go our own way, and the result was that with the sanctions, the comprehensive sanctions, that Nelson Mandela was released from jail, and the system of apartheid eventually fell a short time thereafter. And while this was all political leadership, the fact of the matter is, that you'd have to be pretty dumb not to understand the body language that was coming from the Queen. And she was very clear that this objective of a united Commonwealth in complete solidarity, securing the freedom of Nelson Mandela and the destruction of the apartheid system in South Africa, this was her number one priority. And the Commonwealth was her baby. She had built it, she sustained it, she nurtured it, and she led it. And that's true. I never heard a political word out of her, ever. But as I say, you'd have to have been pretty innocent in the ways of the world not to appreciate what she was saying and the way she wanted to go. And that's what happened. And that's what made her unusual success, remarkable success. Because she had been there for 70 years, knew everybody in the world, knew all about them, and knew all the styles of leadership, the advantages and their disadvantages, successes and failures. And she used all of that in the most elegant, thoughtful, and unassuming way to make a very strong point that I say you'd have to be pretty foolish to have ignored.
You've interacted with, hundreds of the most powerful political figures in the world. Have you ever interacted with anyone like her, like you just described?
No, because there's never been anybody like her. I mean, she started. Look, I was invited by the Duke of Marlborough, Winston Churchill's first cousin, to give the lecture at the 50th anniversary of Churchill's death at Blenheim Palace outside of London. Well, but just consider that. So I went there a number of years ago and delivered that at the 50th anniversary. She was there with Churchill, not at his death, not 50 years later, from the beginning. When you think that Churchill was probably the greatest leader that the world has seen, certainly in modern history, and she knew them all, good, bad, and indifferent. And I thought, look, I had a wonderful personal relationship with her. She was as I say, very kind and thoughtful. She used to have Michaëlle and me over for private lunches at Buckingham Palace. Casual conversation. Well, I'll tell you, one day she was in Canada, and it was, I think, a Friday, and she was going to do something on the Senate lawns, and she suggested we have lunch. So Michaëlle and I went upstairs with her to the Freedom Room in the second floor of 24 Sussex. And she kicked off her shoes. She and Michaëlle had a gin and tonic. And then the conversation started, the three of us. And it was as if, I don't know, you and me and Peter Mansbridge were sitting down having a chat about friends and enemies. She was as casual and as delightful as you can imagine. And the thing went on. She extended it, and I don't know if she pushed back a few engagements, but she stayed for 3 hours at lunch. She told us stories about the family. She told us stories about people she admired in the United Kingdom, including one that struck me a great deal. So she was just a wonderful, natural, genuine, authentic human being. And it's amazing, It's one thing to be raised in Baie-Comeau, Quebec. It's another to be raised in Buckingham Palace and be modest and unassuming about your surroundings. But she was the genuine article, and I admired her and I viewed her all through. But in the end, with admiration and affection, she was a wonderful human being and a great leader.
Mr. Mulroney, just before I let you go, and thank you for those reflections. I know Canadians watching are as gripped by them as I am. If you could just reflect for a moment or help us understand your perspective on what we could what we might anticipate really from now King Charles III. What do you think that might mean for Canada?
Well, look, to make the point about Canada, I've related the incident before. President Reagan told me that she had been in California with him, and her state visit to America was, and President Reagan said to her, "Now, Her Majesty, where will you be going tomorrow?" And the Queen answered, "Oh, Mr. President, I'm going home tomorrow to Canada." And that's the way she viewed Canada, her second home. She loved it. She loved the people. She loved the strength of our citizenship. And that's why she came back so often and spoke so lovingly of the country. But you know, she was once in a lifetime experience for a nation. Charles is different. He's her son. I like him a lot. I've gotten to know him well over the years. In fact, Neil and I were in London, I think last December or thereabouts. We had dinner with him at Clarence House. I've known him to be a very good interlocutor. He's a leader in the environment and climate change. He's got what I like about him is that he has almost an innocent degree of intellectual curiosity. He's interested in everything. He has solutions to everything, and in his mind and in his actions. And he loves Canada as well. He got that from his mom, no doubt about that. He can tell you all kinds of things about Canada that many Canadians don't know. That I find him to be, and over the years I've known him, gotten to know him quite well. I won't say intimately at all, but quite well. And I find him like a first-class gentleman. And I think as king, he is going to bring a degree of respect and affection for Canada, and which will be reciprocated. And I think as well that he's going to be a worthy and honorable and dignified successor to his mom, who in my judgment was the most illustrious person in modern history in the world.
Well, that's the note to leave it on. Mr. Mulroney, I appreciate you very much sharing your time and your reflections with us and with Canadians tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's former Prime Minister Brian Mulroney. Let's bring in Ralph Goodale. He's Canada's High Commissioner to the UK. He comes to us tonight from London. The Canadian flag is flying at half-mast over the High Commission since official notice was put out of Her Majesty's passing. Hello, High Commissioner. Thank you very much for making the time.
Good evening. I'm delighted to be with you, but so sad it has to be about this.
Same here, Mr. Goodale. Same here, High Commissioner. I was saying in some of my previous interviews, look, I don't think anybody was completely shocked, but still very impacted. And it is almost a bit surprising because we are so used to her as the head of state in this country. We are so used to Queen Elizabeth as the Queen. How did you feel when you heard the news? And what was your, I guess, putting aside your official capacity, what was your reaction?
Well, it's very sad, and you're quite right. For most Canadians, they have known no other monarch but Queen Elizabeth. I was 3 years old when she came to the throne, and most Canadians have a similar experience. She has been a fundamental part of our lives for more than 7 decades. And when all of a sudden that ends, even if you anticipate it, you can see the frailty building in, and it almost becomes inevitable. When it actually happens, there's a great empty feeling. This person who has been a colossus on the world stage for so long is no longer there. And there was a cartoon in one of the British publications this afternoon that caught it all, or earlier this evening, that caught it all very poignantly. You remember at the Jubilee the skit that she did with Paddington Bear.
Yes.
And they were tapping out "We Will Rock You" on their teacups. Well, this cartoon showed Her Majesty and Paddington walking together into the distance, and it struck home.
You had an opportunity in this capacity, of course, to meet with the Queen. Tell us what you can about what that was like and what you left thinking about.
She was a very compelling conversationalist, whether it was just passing the time of day about the weather or a sporting event or some recent travel or whatever, or when she was talking about a serious issue like geopolitics or the upcoming meetings of the G7 or of COP26 or the environment or healthcare, all of which she knew a lot about, both in the UK and in Canada. She was very well briefed, an excellent conversationalist. She had that knack. Very few people have it, that when she's having a conversation with you, the conversation is with you, and she isn't distracted by other people elsewhere or thinking five people ahead. She's having a conversation with you and makes you feel the importance of that relationship that she is building with you. She is also, Mr. Mulroney was talking about her sense of humor, and it was very mischievous. I remember one occasion. It was on her 90th birthday, and the celebration was at Windsor Castle, and the RCMP musical Ride was performing for her. And the RCMP has a great relationship with with Her Majesty. They would present her with a horse, and a few years later she would present a horse back. It was an exchange that went on and on. On this one occasion, we presented her with a horse with the RCMP in attendance, including then Commissioner Bob Paulson. I was the Minister of Public Safety at the time, and she wanted to give a gift back. Her foal was not ready yet to be gifted back. So she presented Bob Paulson with a hobby horse, a rocking horse that was about 6 feet long and 4 feet tall, a perfect replica of Burmese that the RCMP had presented to the Queen some years earlier. She patted the horse on the rump, and a drawer popped out, and it had a bottle of maple syrup. She said, we call that the bottom drawer. And she shut the drawer, and then she looked at Bob Paulson. And you remember Bob, big, burly police officer. She said, Commissioner, why don't you get on the horse? And of course, all the cameras immediately started to click. And I'd never seen a look of terror on Bob Paulson's face. At that moment, I looked at that like, Minister, what do I do? And I said, Bob, she is your honorary commissioner. Get on the horse. And he did. And there's this great photograph of Bob Paulson riding a hobby horse in front of Windsor Castle, and Her Majesty the Queen in the background with gales of laughter. It was a terrific moment, and she enjoyed it thoroughly, and I think so did Bob Paulson.
I feel like only the Queen could get Bob Paulson to do something like that.
Oh, I'm sure that's true. Nobody else would be able to pull that off. That was her style, and very, very effective.
Very much so. In your official capacity, what can you tell us about your role in the coming days, in the coming weeks, especially the coming 10 days, I guess I should say more specifically, as we see the coronation and things like that unfold?
The process is all laid out in the rules of protocol. The first thing is following the day upon which the monarch passes away. The first thing is a meeting of the Accession Council, which is a council of officials from the UK and around the realms and the Commonwealth. As Canadian High Commissioner, I am a member of the Accession Council. That council will meet probably as soon as King Charles gets back from Balmoral, which will be sometime tomorrow. And the council affirms the the accession and makes a proclamation that makes it all official. There will be official receptions, and the new king will make a speech to the British Parliament. Then there will be the lying in state. It is my obligation as Canadian High Commissioner to lead the mourners on behalf of Canada, along with the Prime Minister and the Governor General. And then the funeral itself is on day 10. Which would be the 19th, I believe, if I add this all together correctly. And the timing will be a little bit out of kilter from what was planned because of this trip up to Balmoral and back again. Right. That will probably delay things a bit tomorrow, but nobody does protocol or ceremony quite like the British. They will get it right, and it will be dignified, and it will be appropriate. And people across the United Kingdom, more importantly from our point of view, across Canada, will have the opportunity and the ability to feel very connected to this process, as we all have one last chance to say goodbye to a very remarkable person.
Very much so, and we will certainly share all of that with Canadians as it happens. Mr. Goodale, thank you very much, High Commissioner, for making the time this evening.
Thank you.
Ralph Goodale is Canada's High Commissioner to the UK. The Queen's representative in Canada, the Governor General, often has a unique relationship with the monarch. Michaëlle Jean was Governor General from 2005 to 2010, and we have reached her, I think, successfully this time. Madame Jean, do you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine, Vashi, and I'm sorry about the poor connection.
No worries at all. I appreciate you very much joining us this evening and sharing your thoughts with Canadians. And of course, as our viewers will see, we've reached you by phone. Tell me a little bit, Madame Jean, about what has been going through your mind this afternoon and this evening as you process the passing of Queen Elizabeth.
You know, a lot of memories spinning in my head, and I remember Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II as the woman also she was. A monarch, of course, mastering perfectly, the rules and protocol conventions, but at the same time able to and wanting also to make you feel comfortable when she would meet you. And I remember, and I'm sure that every Governor General remembers the first moment, the first encounter, the first conversation with the Queen. But I think she enjoyed being free. I think she enjoyed having a conversation one-on-one and being free to reflect with you, to share with you, and that's what happened when we met. Because, I couldn't help it but think of, my ancestors were slaves, her ancestors were slavers, and reflect upon that with her and saying, look at us here today sitting together, and we're both free, but the fact that I'm free makes you even freer. That's what came to my mind, and I said, we come a long way, and it gives me hope to see us sitting together and having this moment. And she really, responded with so much grace, saying, yes, we come a long way. And of course, I've seen time change, the times change. She had, and she said, I had to embrace new perspectives. I had to adjust. I had to adapt to every change that happened, in this world during these 2 centuries. And it was quite emotional for me to have this conversation with her and to see a woman who was in a way strong and fragile at the same time. And one of the things that we talked about together, because there was a petition sent to her time, asking her not to accept my appointment. So I raised that with her. I felt comfortable to raise that with her. And I said, did you receive, Your Majesty, that petition? And she said, of course I did. And she said, you know what? You shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter. Because what is important is what you want to achieve, what you want to accomplish. She said, you are going to serve your country, Canada. It's a wonderful country. And that's all that matters. And she said, you know, for us is for life. And so many times, I'm translating this because we were speaking French, but anyway, she said, so many times we are under attack and we have to rise above. And I've had to do that all the time, and it's difficult. But what is the most important thing is the purpose of your mission. And she said, it's going to be a wonderful one. And she, you know what really hit my mind, that she never said, you are going to serve me or serve the crown. She said, you are going to serve Canada. It's a wonderful country. And what a beautiful journey this is going to be. You know, it's, I admired that. I appreciated that because she had that grace. She had that grace. And I remember how protocol didn't want us to bring our little daughter with us. She was 6. And I said, you know what? If it's not possible, please let Her Majesty know that I will not live without my daughter. So imagine me saying that for that first courtesy, visit. And I said, but I'll go nowhere without my daughter. And next thing I know, she was expecting us. And with Prince Philip, they greeted us with our daughter and paid attention to her all the time, and made her feel comfortable too. And that is caring. That is what caring is about. That is what, yes, diplomacy, but diplomacy at a human scale is about. And she was so good at that because she has that sense of humor that would immediately make you feel comfortable. She wanted to show also her freedom by driving her car, because on the domain of Balmoral she could do that. She could do that. And I remember how she drove us. she was driving herself to that hunting cottage that they had, and where we were going to have dinner, and every attention was there. She had prepared the meal herself with Prince Philip. She didn't want no personnel, no staff.
Wow.
It was intimate. She had invited, a philosophy teacher because she knew my husband had taught philosophy and is a philosopher. She paid so much attention, and her laughter was amazing. Her favorite wine is Pauillac. It's a French wine, and she was talking about the quality of that wine with my husband, and this attention paid to you, and knowing that it's a precious moment, and how proud she felt, to speak about why she loves driving when she can, because she had served in the during the war in the Red Cross, and she had driven, ambulances, and she would tell you that she's able to undo an engine and just put it back again, and it's amazing. Freedom. I think she cared for freedom. But at the same time, when she said, for us it's for life, I could feel the weight on her shoulders.
Really?
Because it's a lot of sacrifices. So this is how I want to remember her, with that strength, that joy that I saw, that careful and listening, her capacity to address any matter and to have a conversation.
I'm sorry, I think we lost. Did we lose Madame Jean?
No, I can hear you.
You can still hear me. Sorry, your audio went out for a second. My apologies. I just have a few moments left, but Madame Jean, as you were speaking, I was thinking it sounds like you found her to be extremely authentic.
Authentic, I would say so. Extremely authentic, very much aware of her role also, very respectful of Canada, of Canada's constitution. About that petition, she said, but I would never interfere in Canadian politics or political affairs. And so for me to receive this petition, no, never. I would never want to interfere because I cannot do that, and I would not want to do that. So that's also a gesture of and demonstration of respect, of high respect that she had for our country and for us as people. Also for a Canadian Governor General, and knowing exactly the value of our role and where her prerogatives are and where our prerogatives are. And that's really important to know that, because never would you see Her Majesty in a position where she would be there to give you like a political advice. So it's not part of our constitution. It's not part of her role, But the caring for the people we are was authentic, and for everyone who would actually connect with her and be there with her.
Well, thank you so much, Madame Jean, for sharing your reflections and those details of your meeting with her. I think Canadians watching are highly, what's the word I'm looking for here? Just so it's such an amazing window into the person she was and the significant relationship between her and Governors General. Thank you, Madame Jean.
Thank you.
The Right Honourable Michaëlle Jean, Canada's Governor General from 2005 to 2010. Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.